When I first held the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge, I was immediately transported back to 2016. Why? Because that was the year many phone brands were competing with each other to launch the thinnest phone in the world. How many of them do you remember? Let me know in the comments. Now cut to 2025, the Galaxy S25 Edge, Samsung's slimmest Galaxy S series phone yet, is entering an industry which is kind of devoid of innovation. Everything's looking same, right? And therefore, even a slim phone like the S25 Edge can feel very exciting, but I'm sure that you have some concerns and I'll try to address them. For example, how is the battery life on the 3900 mAh battery? Is the dual camera setup actually flagship grade? Does Samsung throttle the performance of the Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy? Does the phone heat up? All of these questions, I'll try to answer them, so let's find out. Alright, if you're here for the first time, I'm Ershad. This is Trakin Tech English, your destination for detailed, incisive gadget reviews. So the Galaxy S25 Edge is 5.8mm thin, and for context that's about 5 credit cards stacked together. And the weight of 163 grams actually makes it lightweight, and what surprised me the most was the fact that I expected the weight distribution to be off, but that's not really the case. It is not as top heavy as I expected it to be. Additionally, you get premium materials in the build. Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on the back, the same titanium frame that was used in the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, and Corning Gorilla Glass 2 ceramic protection on the front. Yes, this is the first time that this solution has been used on any phone, and the S25 Edge is the first one to flaunt it. By the way, my first fear was that in order to make this phone slim, would Samsung have to, compromise on the structural integrity? But that's not really the case, because it has used titanium for the frame, and titanium generally has better tensile strength than both steel and aluminum. I realized that this phone is absolutely sturdy, and there is absolutely no flex here whatsoever. In fact, the real flex is the fact that Samsung has managed to make it sturdy despite being thin. Unlike me, of course. For more such self-deprecating humor, subscribe to Trakin Tech English. I really dig the design of this camera module. You get a two-step structure with glass and metal used in the build of the phone itself, and it feels like the camera module is actually stuck to the back here. The whole look is kind of elevated just because of this camera module, if you ask me. But when you place the phone flat on a surface, it tends to wobble. The power button and the volume rocker have a nice clicky tactile feel, and at the bottom you get a Type-C port that is Gen 3.2, which is awesome. But the ports at the bottom are not symmetrically aligned if you look at it. Anyway, that minor OCD aside, this phone looks pretty gorgeous, it's sexy, it's stunning, and I think that it could be one of the candidates for the best designed phones of the year. Now, the S25 Edge has a massive 6.7-inch display. It's a Samsung Dynamic AMOLED 2X panel with 120Hz refresh rate as well. Of course, by Dynamic AMOLED, it means that there is LTPO technology, so it can refresh down to 1Hz and can refresh anywhere between 1Hz to 120Hz. It's also a proper QHD Plus resolution panel like the S25 Plus and the S25 Ultra, and you get HDR10 Plus support as well. Now, if you ask me, it's a gorgeous panel with extremely slim bezels, extremely good real estate, and a peak brightness of 2600 nits when you're watching HDR content. Plus, it also gets plenty bright outdoors. It's your typical Samsung panel that looks very impressive across all kinds of content that you're playing on it, whether you're watching videos, playing games, all of that. And of course, the Vision Booster technology is also helping enhance that experience a little bit. Oh yeah, there's also the fancy new ultrasonic fingerprint scanner, which is very fast to unlock. Although I did feel that the haptic feedback motor felt slightly soft in terms of vibrations and can sometimes feel rattly as well. Now, moving on, when I listened to the stereo speakers for the first time, I was actually very surprised with the quality of it, because I expected it to sound thin and wheeled considering the fact that it's a slim phone, but that's not really the case. In fact, let me stop talking. You guys take a listen to it right next to the iPhone 16 Pro Max and you'll listen to what I'm saying. Alright, performance time. And this is where things start getting spicy, because I had very low expectations from this phone, but it kind of surprised me. So what you get inside is the Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy, LPDDR5X RAM type, and UFS 4.0 storage. There are two variants of the phone, 12256GB and 12512GB, and if you pre-order, you actually get the 12512GB for the price of the 256GB variant. And interestingly, I actually tested the 256GB variant. Alright, in Geekbench, the CPU score is insanely good, and the Antutu score is between what I achieved on the Galaxy Galaxy S25 and the S25 Plus. The average FPS for our standard ray tracing test was pretty on par with other Snapdragon 8 Elite phones. What impressed me the most was when we played Genshin Impact at the highest graphics, target 60 FPS for 30 minutes, we actually got an average of 59.9 FPS with the peak temperatures touching only 41.3 degrees. Now for a slim phone, that's pretty impressive performance because I've seen, thicker candy bar flagships or smaller candy bar flagships that can go higher than the temperature that we got on the S25 Edge. So good job, Samsung. Now this is also possible primarily because Samsung has done some very clever engineering here. It has reconfigured the vapor cooling chamber and tailored the thermal interface material to sort of make it thinner and broader across the frame. By the way, I didn't stop at Genshin Impact. I also played Grid Legends, which is a very, very demanding game. But on this flat, large display connected to my Backbone One, it was a very good experience. So I played a little bit of it and I also tested the average, temps and the FPS out there. So in Grid Legends, you get like a couple of graphics options. So I played at the graphics preset, which targets 30 FPS, and I got an average of 29.9 FPS, which is very, very good. And again, the temperatures were around 43.4 degrees, which is not bad at all. See, if you're like a pro gamer, then I wouldn't say that the S25 Edge is a gaming phone. But if you're somebody like me who's like an amateur gamer who wants to play for 30 minutes at a stretch on the phone, then this phone can actually handle those loads of intense gaming without getting too hot, which is actually exactly what I wanted. But I did feel like the phone did get warm sometimes while using the camera, but it's not something that you can't manage. You can actually manage. For a phone that's slim and uses the latest, most powerful processor like the Snapdragon 8 Elite, I think that Samsung's done a fairly decent job of managing the thermals and giving you a fairly good performance as well. Alright, now for the contentious topic, the battery life that you can expect from the 3900 mAh battery, which is definitely on the smaller side of things compared to the large batteries that we've been seeing these days. Now, I didn't do like extensive battery tests, so I've not had multiple runs, but I did have a single run where I kept the display at the default Full HD Plus resolution. I had adaptive refresh rate on and always on display was set to tap to wake. And during 80% of the run, I was using Wi-Fi and 20% of the run, I was actually using 5G. And with all of these settings, I got a screen on time of 5 hours and 20 minutes. And you can see for yourself that it is a healthy mix of apps that I've used. There's a little bit of gaming, there's a Zoom call, there's usage of camera and Instagram, all of that. And truth be told, I was actually expecting that screen on time to be anywhere between 4 to 4.5 hours, but it gave me over 5 hours of screen on time, and I'm kind of glad about that. The Snapdragon 8 Elite's performance efficiency, along with the kind of optimizations that Samsung has done in the background, seem to be working well for the 3900 mAh battery. Now, charging speed is your standard Samsung 25 watt wired and 15 watt wireless. I was definitely taken aback by the fact that the S25 Edge does support wireless charging despite being this slim, because from what I know, a wireless charging coil can take up space inside the chassis and it takes up about 1mm to 5mm, and despite that, Samsung has added wireless charging, which is definitely good. Alright, now time to talk about the cameras. The primary is a 200 megapixel sensor that was used by the S25 Ultra as well. You also get 12 megapixel ultra wide angle camera and a 12 megapixel selfie camera with a wider field of view of 85 degrees. Alright, now let's take a look at the pictures, and the 200 megapixel camera is pretty good in daylight. It pulls in a good amount of details, which is definitely better than the Samsung Galaxy S25 and the S25 Plus. I was also particularly impressed with the color reproduction. This is the closest I've seen a Samsung flagship being neutral. Take a look at it right next to the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. And the skin tones in particular were pretty close to neutral as well. This is exactly how Anish looks, by the way. In fact, take a look at this gorgeous evening in Pune that I shot with the phone. The whole picture has been captured really well with very good HDR. In fact, the HDR tuning is good too, but sometimes the phone can tend to blow out the highlights. Now, night photos are pretty good at making the scene look nice and bright by picking up the exposure. It definitely looks brighter than the S25 Plus here, like Samsung claims. Portraits are some of the best we've managed to achieve with the S25 Edge, especially with really good edge detection and a good bokeh drop-off as well. Now, this is also thanks partially to the fact that you get a new object-aware engine that uses light very cleverly to showcase the right skin tone as well. The ultra-wide-angle 12MP camera is pretty good in daylight, but sometimes soft in low light. The selfie camera skin tone correction is good, and I kind of like it even in low light here. By the way, you can crop in 2x for lossless zoom, and even up to 4x, it kind of looks good. But sometimes when you compare it to the 1x, you can see some loss of quality. Of course, the 4K 60fps video recording quality is pretty damn good in daylight with excellent detail, good HDR, clean stabilization, and crisp audio quality. Although in low light, it kind of struggles. By the way, you can shoot 4K 60fps video with the ultra-wide and the selfie as well. Now, there's portrait video recording capability at 4K 30fps. You can also shoot pro video in 4K 120fps quality. Plus, there's log video recording capability as well. Overall, I'd say that the S25 Edge's camera performance is pretty good, and it is befitting of the S lineup. The software experience is, of course, One UI 7 with its various elements that you get with it. For example, Knox security is there, Galaxy AI is there, Gemini Live plus Gemini Advanced is something something that you can expect from One UI 7 experience. And as usual, Samsung is also promising a very long 7 years of software updates and 7 years of security updates as well. Now, I've waxed eloquent on the One UI 7 experience many times before, so I'm not going to go into all of the details, but let me give you like a quick rundown of what you can expect. So you can expect very smooth animations. The new Now bar with live activities is of course pretty awesome. You get more customization options for the lock screen, and of course Galaxy AI's live translate, generative edit, note assist, transcript assist, and more are also available. By the way, there's one very interesting thing that you can do with Gemini Live now, basically screen sharing and video sharing, which sort of helps you enhance your experience with talking to Gemini Live and also getting the kind of accurate responses that you can expect by sharing your video itself.
What type of dogs are there in this picture?
Okay, in that picture I see a Chihuahua, a White Shepherd and 2 Pit Bulls.
Can you summarize this for me?
Sure. The back of the book has reviews praising evolutionary psychology for being comprehensive and engaging.
So the Galaxy S25 Edge is innovative in the sense that it packs in like very high-end components inside a slim premium, but also a very expensive chassis. Basically, it costs rupees 1,10,000 for the 256GB variant, which can be bumped up to 512GB if you pre-order. Now, I was under the very strong opinion that who would want a slim phone? What's the allure here? And that's when I spoke to my friend Tejas, who actually shoots our videos. Let me quickly show him on camera. And you know what? He actually stunned me with his response. He said that he loves the phone, he adores it, despite me telling him what this phone costs. This is a true story, by the way. Now, obviously, Tejas is not your typical tech nerd. He loves a slim, sleek, and sexy phone, despite whatever it packs inside it. And that's when I realized that the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge might have an audience going for it. But for folks like me who want the best of the best tech with absolutely no compromises, and they're okay with a fatter phone and a more expensive phone, then Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra would be the better option. Alright, with all of that context that I have set for you guys, when this phone goes on sale and it goes on discount, it will be a great option to consider for a lot of folks who might be on the fence. Alright, what do you guys think of the S25 Edge? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, keep tracking and stay safe.